inviting me to be part of the opening and the closing of this event. And I'm quite sure all of you learned a whole lot more than I did. But at the same time, I learned a lot as well. So thank you. And once again, I would like to acknowledge the Lekwungen-speaking people, whom today we recognize as the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. And I'm eternally grateful to be able to live on their lands. I brought some examples of Métis Sashes. There's the one that most people see, which is the red one. This one here is one that is worn, and it's to identify the support for anti-violence and for the women's initiatives, and the colors within it also relate to that. And the third one, which is the one that I wore yesterday, is a sash that tells people that I'm really supportive to all of those in need that have mental health issues. And so I wear this particular sash very frequently. As you can see, they're all different sashes, as are all of our Indigenous peoples. Within our province, we have Indigenous people from all over our country, and like the sashes, they are different with different languages, different protocols, and ways of being. And as each of you are a unique person, so is every other person in our world. And as an FYI, there are approximately 7,000 self-identified Métis people living in this geographic area, and 90,000 living within our province. And 70% of the Indigenous people who are within our province are off reserve. In other words, and in many cases, they are not served by the First Nations Health Authority. So that makes a difference. I wasn't able to be here for all of yesterday's presentations, but I was at UVic and heard that 162 Indigenous students graduated at this convocation with PhDs, masters, and baccalaureates from almost all of the schools on campus. Woo! And I've And as I say, I have had the privilege to hear about the work being done by student researchers in the BC network environment of Indigenous health research, coordinated through the University of Victoria, but covering initiatives throughout the province. Indigenous people talk about listening and hearing our ancestors and doing the work for the next 7 generations. I think within the work of this group, they are looking at experiences of the past to look at quality initiatives for the future. Thank you for wanting to get out of the silos that many of us have been in for so many years and wanting to work together from communities to provinces to country. On my opening, I mentioned the 7 grandfather teachings. And as I looked at the various slides that were presented throughout the day, I noticed that those 7 grandfather teachings, some of them were identified: trust, respect, wisdom were there. And you probably didn't realize that they were embedded within those slides yourself. And as a final note, I just want to remind you what they are. And those grandfather teachings are: wisdom, to be used for the good of people; respect for all creation, and remembering that respect is mutual and reciprocal; bravery, and I think in all of the work that you do, you need to be brave in order to do the right thing, even if the consequences are unpleasant; honesty, to be honest with oneself, as it makes it easier to be honest with others; humility, shows care and concern for all creation; truth, and we must always speak from a truthful place. And I think, as was expressed by all of you, the one important factor that we all have for everybody is love. And I'm going to remind you, we first must love ourselves. Love is to be given freely, and it is mutual and reciprocal. Thank you, and I really look forward to hearing about the initiatives that all of you are going to create as part of the future. Thank you.